All right, so this is part two of creating a animated 2D character. My friend told me I have to talk more if I'm going to do this, so I'm taking his advice. If you saw part one, you can see that I kind of changed the hair color. I added a few zits and I adjusted the eyebrows. I'm still not totally happy with the eyebrows, but what are you going to do? I've spent a lot of time on it. So I'm going to work more on the body today. Uh, I think I'm going to make this guy an EMT. So let's bring some items in that I've already made. We'll see how this works. Okay. This is clearly tough on my computer here to have this going live at the same time because I'm not seeing the item I just brought in. Here it is. Okay. So we got that roughly where I want. Okay. So the way I usually make the t-shirt is kind of based on the torso. I kind of just do a duplicate of it and then I will adjust it after, but I can start with the color. I'll bring this pants pocket in. We're not going to use that just yet, but we can at least have it there. I always label everything because it gets very confusing if you just have a bunch of layer numbers. You can use this little, what's it called? Eyedropper tool to get the color for something. So now when I go to this torso duplicate, I have it as my first saved color, so I can immediately keep the uniform colors consistent. I mean, it's kind of a show about EMS loosely, so I need a bunch of people in uniform, so why not create another character who fits that profile? Let's hide the left and right arms for the time being. I like to turn the opacity down on like new layers because then you can see where they kind of cover the torso. So let's get above and beyond that just a little bit. Probably not going to be as... So the kind of pre-made torso is a little more athletic than I want him looking. I probably want him to look a little scrawnier, but that's okay. We'll get to that. The big question is, do I want an undershirt? And I think that I probably do. So let's get the ordinary undershirt color. We can just open up a we'll open up a PNG of blue here. Use that same Doppler tool. Get that color. And let's duplicate the shirt again. We'll call this undershirt. underneath, change the color. And there we go. We have an undershirt. Yeah, so talked a little last time I did this. I don't know what the hell streaming is or all about, but I figure if it takes me 2 weeks to make, 1 to 2 weeks to make a 3-minute video, I'm kind of wasting my time. So I'm going to start doing this. I don't really even know how to check it, so I don't really know what I'm doing, but it is here. So we have this little EMS shirt over the undershirt. Probably want the undershirt to go down just a little bit. Kind of add a vertice around the neck. That's good. And then haven't changed the torso color yet. So anytime you click on a layer, you open up the fill, it'll show you the color. And if you just click on it, press OK, then it'll be kind of like your last selected color. So it's not much of a difference than what the initial color I had on this was, but now the torso is consistent with the neck and the face. Yeah. So let's get this shirt looking a little looser. I got some problems with my scroll bar here at the bottom. I think it's related to the screen share window. Maybe if I move that. There we go. Okay. Okay. So let's zoom out a little bit, see how it kind of looks overall. That's actually not a bad look. I think I might just keep that there. Let's make it maybe a little. I think I could adjust the shoulders in a little. I really like to use rulers that kind of allow you to keep things more symmetrical. And I find the more symmetrical you keep the character, the easier, honestly, everything else is. Because what I try to do if I'm going to use a character more than once is create them in 4 separate views in order to be able to have them walking and moving within the scene. Because if you don't have those additional dimensions, you have to, if you want different angles or you want the character moving, then you need to create 4 different backgrounds. So it's a lot easier to have a character move in 4 ways, but I'll show you real quick. I have this front body open here, but I have a left profile template, a right profile template, and then a rear body template. But we're working on the front body today, and that's probably all I'm going to be doing for this clown. It's a little more defined than I like is the only thing. So let's get that torso in a little bit more. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. Then we got the undershirt. Let's drop the opacity so we can see just how much it's passing here. Honestly, I don't even need that second vertice there. But the important part with the opacity is that you can see, this is an undershirt, so it covers his entire torso, and there's no random spots of skin showing. Honestly, do I even need this one? Not really. So I think this is probably for like making kind of simple animations like this. I'd say the bulk of your time is spent on creating the characters, and then probably the second most amount of time is creating the background, depending on how involved it is. So what I do is I make these characters in Photoshop, and then I take them into Character Animator where I program them for all their movements. I export that as like a PNG, or not PNG, but as a file that includes the transparent layer, so I can add it to a background without obstructing the background. And then from there, I render it out, and then I can take it into Premiere Pro where I actually edit the video. I'd say the one other thing that takes too much time is the audio, which is unfortunate because that, you can do it really fast, but that kind of makes or breaks whether it's funny at all, I feel like. Okay, so let's turn that opacity up. Let's see the overshirt and do the same thing. But it's not going to be a very long, I'm not going to be on here very long. I got to go to work. But we'll do what we can here with limited time. Let's get that in. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so we kind of have a basic torso. I think I should add something here. A little t-shirt collar kind of a thing. It's probably just going to be a line. One thing I like to use a lot on here is the I forget what it's called. It's like a create something mask. I'll probably be able to do it in a second. But you can make a line like this that goes beyond the undershirt, and you can I could probably adjust it really easy here, but clipping mask. I really like to use clipping mask so I don't have to make these tiny adjustments. I think I'll just make it on here. It's usually easy. It's probably better overall to adjust the where the vertices start and end, but the clipping mask can help save time. You just have to remember to merge the layer together later in case you have to move things around. Let's create a little bit of thickness on this, a little bit of depth on this undershirt right here. Okay. One, it's not really a limitation, but I don't really like to I couldn't kind of make this t-shirt look more like it disappears behind his neck by lining them up perfectly. But the issue with that is in Character Animator, the neck is going to move. So like it's still a 2D image overall. So unless I put a portion of the t-shirt behind the neck, it won't work. And the problem with putting a portion of the t-shirt behind the neck is the neck goes in the head group, and I don't want the neck to move beyond the back of the t-shirt, which is kind of hard to explain, but if you think about it for a second, I think you'll get it, because it's still just a 2D image. So if I put a t-shirt behind the neck, it's going to go in the head group, and it's going to affect how the head moves overall. So I'd rather just leave that open. I probably want to get rid of this stroke layer on the torso because that kind of makes him look a little more defined in the chest than I want. So just by getting rid of that stroke layer, the neck just kind of disappears into the torso. So now we kind of have a basic EMS shirt, but we do need buttons still, and maybe a little opening on it. I always forget. I think the buttons are on the right side or on the left side for the guy from an outside perspective. So let's add some buttons quick. So like I said, you know, if this character ends up getting reused, I'll probably create him in 4-view. I think for this one that I'm working on right now, I think it's only going to be the front profile view. But in order to keep things aligned, I'll create this file where I save it as 4-view unmerged, and I'll create everything in here, but I won't take that file into Character Animator. I'll resave it as like a front layer merged, so that Character Animator doesn't have 500 layers it has to remember. It's only got the front body and the head perspective. And I tried to create multiple head views so that when you create different head profiles, I'll show that real quick. When you create different head profiles, it allows you to use the camera on your computer in order to record the different facial turns in live action. So like these haven't been drawn yet, but here's right profile, right quarter. Here's the frontal that I'm working on. And then here's left quarter and left profile. I think for this one, I'm only going to use the front profile. But that's an important thing, I feel like, is making those additional head turn movements possible, because it just every little thing adds the ability to use more expression, and that's one thing I want to be better at, is being able to do more expression than just the arms moving wildly or the very similar facial expressions. So I want to do a total of 8 buttons, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So let's clear guides for a second. Actually, okay. All right, so let's create a little bit of bend here. Just kind of adjust these to follow the line. I think they should be spaced out apart a little bit more, though. And you could follow these numbers here, show you the pixels. So if you want to be like really accurate with these buttons or something, you could just determine each one has a difference of, say, 200 pixels along the y-axis. So like this one's at 1685. I can see that the more I increase the number, the faster it gets. Let's say I want to change it to 1785. That's a 100 pixel difference. But I find accuracy adds a lot more time sometimes. Something like this, it might be worthwhile though, because right now this looks kind of scattered. That's roughly where his belt will be. I kind of like that. And we get to add this fun little collar here. Everybody's always wearing their collars differently. So I think this line, I'll probably make let's do a clipping mask on that. So the important thing with the clipping mask is you put it right above where the layer you want to use to clip it is. So I got to find that torso layer, and then we have the torso, the undershirt, and then the EMS shirt. And so I don't know if you could see it, but right now that line extends beyond it. So I could either line up the vertices on this line, or what I can do is just create this clipping mask, and that'll do the same thing. So it doesn't extend beyond the shirt. I think that actually that collar looks pretty good. I just want to extend the top of it a little bit more and maybe increase the stroke from 1 pixel to 3. And then let's duplicate that and make that the left collar as well. We're going to transform, edit, transform path, flip horizontal. If you hold down the shift key while you drag it, then it will stay on the same plane. It'll only move along one vertice path, and that'll be around the x-axis since I moved it straight horizontal. So that's a rough idea of how his torso will look. We still need to add pockets. I got to adjust this badge, and I'm probably going to extend the buttons a little more. But real quick, we can see what that will look like with the arms. And let's just focus on one arm and one hand. So like real quick, what I can do, like let's say I want long sleeves, I can just duplicate this arm, or I can just change the color of it, but I'm going to just duplicate it right now. So I'm going to duplicate it. We'll call it right sleeve. And then we'll change the color to match the torso, the EMS shirt, and then we'll do that same thing with the left arm. Duplicate layer, left sleeve. Like I said, that's why you always want to label your stuff, because that's going to prevent you from having multiple layers. Now you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see a faint outline of his arm underneath the right sleeve, and that's just because it's the exact same dimension. So what I'll do later is just change the opacity down and make sure the vertices extend beyond that right arm, or just disappear the right arm completely. So if we don't have that, then that goes away. Yeah. So that's kind of a rough idea of how it's probably going to look like. We're going to end it there for today. Probably going to do some more adjustments later. That left arm is going to end up being above that badge. So that's always something you want to keep in mind. It's just the layer order, because for men, I always want the arms in front of the torso. Like I want these arms to be able to move in front of the torso and in front of the head. And what that means is, depending on your layer order, whatever's on top in this list is going to be on top in presentation. So if I put the head behind the body, which I could easily do, then that's fine. But that's why if you see a character like Blue, every time their hands go in front of their face, they disappear, which kind of limits you when you are recording the puppet movements. So you want to kind of get that figured out early on, because it's a little more difficult to adjust later. Because once the character's programmed, if you change the layer order in Photoshop and you have a bunch of different buttons programmed to different things, then it can lose sight of where those groups are, because they've changed, or if the name has changed or anything like that, it can screw up things and you have to reprogram it. And it's just a whole thing. So that's a rough idea of how this character is going to look like. I'm probably going to change his eyebrow color, and may change its appearance, but that's it for today. This has been a live stream, and that's it.